Ready.
Right, hello everyone. Today we're going to sort of break down over a few parts what we're going to do. We're going to look at setting in preparation for hair up. I'm going to do a heated roller set. I'm going to do brick wind, and I'm going to do on base. Okay, so we'll go into a little bit more detail about them as we go. Because it's a doll's head, I'm not going to use any product. And what I've done is I've preset with the heated rollers another doll's head so I can show you dressing out as well. I'm going to stand behind because the way I've set the room up is not that great, so I've got too much light behind me, but at least you should be able to see what I'm doing with regards to the hair with the backdrop of my t-shirt. So heated rollers, always about the prep. You always have to remember you've got to turn them on a little bit before you actually need them, just so they heat up. Okay, and as usual, your roller size should be no wider or fatter than the size of the section. Okay, and as I'm winding down, I'm literally putting my pin in and winding on base. There. When you do set on a doll's head, this next row, you have to be a little bit cheeky and make sure you do it quite fine because of the hairline of a doll's head. Okay. Taking that hair right the way up to the ends, using my pin and my pintail comb and literally working that down. And you'll see the way that I roll hair as well is I don't just get my ends in and then roll it down. I weave as I roll, because what I find that does is that just distributes the hair a little bit better onto the setting roller. Most setting rollers have got some form of grips or spikes on them, and it just keeps the hair in place and gets them to do their job, and it minimalizes the risk of the hair falling off the end.
I think as well, what we tend to do is wrap our fingers, don't we? When we're holding that roller, when we've got to the end, we wrap our fingers around it like this rather than just holding it with our index finger and thumb, because what that will do is stop all the shorter hairs from falling out when you get to the ends.
Yes.
So watch when it gets to the top here.
And with heated rollers, don't do what I started to do when I first learned how to do this, was you think, oh, there's a hole there, I can put my thumb in there, get some leverage. All right, it's really, really hot in there. Okay. So again, and then just using the pin and the pintail comb to wind that down. Okay, popping that in place. Pinning and making sure the base of the pin is on the scalp. And I've always started, when I'm doing it brick wind set, I always start at the front and work back, and I always, each row, I start in the middle and work out to the sides. Because
can you show us the top? Could you show us the top from like lift the head up just so we can see where you're putting these in?
Yeah, I'll get this row in and then I'll do that.
Okay.
Because you'll be able to see a little bit more as to what that's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see how that's working through. Trying to stay behind the doll's head as much as possible so you guys can see what I'm doing.
Also, your tension's really important, isn't it, here, especially on the sides?
Yeah, yeah, gravity is not necessarily your friend, so you need to make sure that tension really is spot on.
And you're rocking as well, aren't you, from side to side rather than getting so you're sticking to the pattern by doing that?
Yeah, yeah, do a row at a time. Don't get tempted to kind of go, oh, I like this side, I'll stay on this side.
I think that's where a lot of guys get lost, is where they, and then 9 times out of 10 it ends up in directional, because you don't, you know, people, you don't rock from side to side, so you'll just naturally follow a roller.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and these bits here, if you've got any fluffy bits that need to go in, then you can unwind it a little bit, pick them back up, make sure they're in, unwind that down. Okay. Okay, so you can see that like a brick wall as they're going in. I'm working on through. And you'll see when it comes to dressing out, what we're going to do is I'm going to use this doll's head, obviously not today because they've got to cool down. But I'm going to use this doll's head and do some more videos that I'll post. That will be on some ideas of how you can kind of put hair up. They'll be endpoint assessment friendly. So they'll be using multiple techniques, but they'll just be there to give you just that booster in confidence. As I say, I'm just in the good old-fashioned Blue Peter way. I have prepared a doll's head earlier that will be able to show you dressing out techniques, i.e. back combing and back brushing. You can see I'm using the pin of my pintail comb to actually pick up the hair as well. Making sure that's in, which is why whenever we see anyone who reaches for a cutting comb when they're doing a set, you're making your life so much more difficult. And also as well, just from a point of view, I'm using pins, the heated roller pins, because I must admit I prefer using them than the crocodile grips. Nothing wrong with the crocodile grips. The reason why I like using the pins, even though they are a little bit more fiddly, is you don't get any marks in the hair. Sometimes with the grips, you can get little marks and little lines in the hair.
I think this can look really easy to watch. Like anyone watching this now will think, yeah, I can do that. But actually it's really difficult. And a lot of people get frustrated when they first start putting rollers in, especially pins, and knowing what, you know, what angle to put them on, where to put them, what size, you know, because there's different sizes sometimes. So I think it's an easy thing to get your head around. Takes a bit of patience.
And for the sake of the video, what I've done as well, particularly with these back ones, is I've just taken slightly bigger section than I normally would, just so the brick wine pattern can be seen a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Now there is what a lot of the time with heated rollers, what you sort of see is people wind halfway and then wrap it round to get the leverage to get the ends in. Okay, that will curl, but it will give you almost like a roped curl. If you're doing any kind of hair up, it'll give you a little bit more dressing out to do and a bit more of an uneven curl to it. So really make sure you get right to the ends, okay, to get a truer curl rather than any kind of twisted. Again, always working in the middle and the middle out. And that to the ends. Okay, and this is going to be fiddly now because for those of you that watched any of the other videos that we've done, you'll know that we've not actually touched the length of the line of this doll's head. It's only been the interior shape, so the ends, as I get down to the baseline, are going to be a little bit trickier to wind.
Basically needs a haircut desperately, doesn't she?
Yeah. There we go. few more to go in, and then we are done. And obviously by not using any products, this is making my life a little bit more difficult. But as I say, with the double, a natural get with a heated roll. Two more and then we're done. Going in. And the last one.
That's impressive, Matt. How quick you've got there, man.
Do love a set.
You should also share, I don't know if anyone saw it, and probably they did, because I think you did share it on the group, your set that you did, the spiral set.
Oh, the candlestick. Yeah, I've still got the pictures of that. So.
Oh, and also notice how Matt has used the color coordination. So a lot of guys, I don't know if you noticed, start with red and continue and use all the red up, and then don't have. There's a reason these rollers are different colors. It's because they're different sizes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the pins I've used are color coordinated as well. So, for example, on the end of the bobbin, I don't know whether you can see that. I put it against the black of my t-shirt. Yeah. They're white, so they go with the white ones. Okay, so they're the grips, and then these are the old-fashioned ones, or the ones that we have in Camden, like they're almost like rounded crocodile clips, which can leave marks in the hair. So, Blue Peter fashion. Here's one that I prepared earlier. And you can see kind of like, you might just lower this down a fraction and move a little bit closer. There we go.
Yeah, good.
There. Okay. So, back brushing, back combing. This here is a back brushing brush, quite thin. Sometimes they're called pastiche brushes as well. And so the main thing that I'm going to look at doing is, if I very gently, you can see the roller marks, particularly on the top. Okay, that's what I'm going to look at getting rid of. So losing the roller marks, and also giving it stability and dressing it out into a bit of a shape. One thing that I know from experience is that with doll's heads, they dress out so much better from one side to the other, rather than just all straight back. Okay, so what I'm going to do, or the way I go about this, is I'm just going to kind of start today, sort of like just having a look from crown area down. Okay, and I'm going to literally pick up a section, and I'll show you when I get to the top, that is against the grain of the sections that I've taken. And I'm going to start with my back brush first of all, and I'm literally almost working a diagonal section and just dressing it out, just a little bit of back combing, back brushing, and a little bit of tweezing or teasing. When I get to the top, we'll actually look at the technique a little bit more with regards to the difference between the two. We should be able to see actually here. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they'll hold up their hair and they'll get whatever tool they're using, being a back brush or back comb, and they'll think, I need to get a shed load of back combing in here. So what they do is they start up here, around about the mid-lengths to the ends, and then drag it all the way down. Okay, all that will do is that when you move on to the next section and the client moves their hair will just move, particularly if it's hair up. What you really need to do if you're getting any kind of stability in there is start in the base and work up the hair shaft. So even though you're working down with your movements, okay, you're working up. Okay, and back combing and back brushing, as far as your shape's concerned, it's far easier to dress it out and dress it down than it is to put it back in. So starting at the root and working up the hair shaft. Okay, and you can see how much that sits up, and then what you can do is then you can start tweezing it into place.
It's such a visual thing, isn't it? You've really got to take your time with this and keep stepping back and keep having a look.
Yeah, and then just smoothing out. And also I'm looking at my shape that I'm building up from not just the vertical, the profile, but also from the horizontal as well. Going to chuck that out the way. With the grip. Now if I was to use a comb, and working that through, and I've got a bit from almost 2 different rows of sections, and I'm back combing from behind because I want this to kind of work back a little bit more. I don't really want to back comb it from the front. I want to back comb it from behind. Okay, and if I was to really go for it, I'm building that up at the root and then working it out, and then I can build some shape in there. Still want to keep those quite loose, the ends, because if I was doing a hair up, from endpoint assessment point of view, okay, you've got to do your setting technique, which, as we know, can be a curly round brush blow dry into pin curls, or it can be a setting technique. Okay, but then what you've got to do is you've got to then put it into a hair up. So what you don't want to do is put too much back brushing and back combing at this stage for endpoint assessment, because otherwise you're then going to have to fight through the lengths and ends to get any kind of light comb or brush through there. You can see I'm pulling it straight out. If I wanted more lift and volume on it, what I would do is I would almost hold it up and work that in, and that would give me more elevation to it. Okay, cool. We'll come back to that. I'll swap back to my brush. And now what I've got, I've got this top box left to do. I'm going to start looking at which way I want it to go. Okay, this doll's head certainly wants to go more that way. Okay, letting that fall down, keeping that shape, keeping aware of the shape. I'm working across my sections, so I'm not back combing the hair in the way or the sections that I used to roll it.
I think that's really tempting to do, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's all
when you're
to kind of create almost intermingling sections. Okay, just remembering the shape of my head. Putting that in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that sitting up. Got the cat coming to help me now. You probably heard the Nigel and Vinny going for each other in the other room.
Yeah, they're having their say, aren't they?
Yeah. They're supposed to be asleep, but they literally just woken up.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. It's all right. Nigel's going out for his next walk in a minute. I'm for him out. You can see. If I find out that I'm kind of working and almost kind of getting ahead of myself with regards to that movement, I'm stopping, I'm going back in, I'm reasserting myself at the root. And then with the brush, when it comes to smoothing, rather than get the brush in at 90 degrees, I'm turning the bristles more towards the face. More towards the face.
You're building, aren't you? So
yeah,
notice how Matt started at the nape and worked his way up. So he's building on everything. So, and really the key to good back combing, back brushing, whatever it might be, so long as that hair can support its own weight when you lift your hands away, then you know you've done a good job.
Now what I can do is just see my t-shirt. So I'm liking the shape this side. I'm liking the shape through the back, but just here, I need to do a little bit more work. What I'm going to do is pick that up and just work in. A little bit more shape in there, a bit more lift. There we go, we've got it still moving around through there, so it's still natural, but the stability is all in the roots. So it really brings out the layers within that bob. Okay, and bearing in mind, for those of you that I've worked with before, you've got, this is the bob which has got the contraindication of the random short bits through here, and also as well, it's really uneven. So having those curls in there has just kind of evened it out a little bit more as well, giving it that false look of being more balanced. Okay, so there we go. Cool. That's all set and dressed. Okay, and hopefully giving you a bit more of an insight into, and let's give it a little bit of a test. Okay, so if she goes outside, especially in this rain today, she can get caught in it, get caught in the wind, and we've still got the volume in there. Okay, cool. Right. So, let's recap quickly. Brick wine set on base. Okay, so like a brick wall. And as I say, this is the one, the longer hair that I'll be using to do some videos with regards to some hair ups. Okay. And then back brush, back combs, making sure you're right at the root to really get that down. Using any kind of tool that you want. And hopefully this will kind of give you some ideas. We'll certainly kind of like move forward with regards to prepping ready for hair up. Okay, anything else that we should add? I'm very aware we're running out of time, Joe.
No, that's right. Yeah, really good. I thought,
okay.
Yep.
Cool. All right then, guys. Well, keep your eyes peeled. They should hopefully be out over the next few days. The hair up ones, but hopefully this has kind of got your taste buds going a little bit for them. Take care, guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.